When someone mentions the 80s, what do you think about? Nintendo, vintage video games, old school cars? Nah, here's what I think about when I see the 80s. Yeah, the Intratec Tec-9 or the DC-9. Stay tuned. In this video, I'm gonna go through why I bought this gun, why some people would never buy this gun, why I think you should buy it, and why I think you shouldn't buy it. I'm gonna go over the market value, I'm gonna go over some specifics, and I'm gonna, take you through some slight troubleshooting that I had to go through. So again, stay tuned. A lot of information in this video, and I have a lot more Intratec, Tec-9, and AV10 content coming up. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, Miami Gunna here. We're basically just gonna cover the Intratec Tec-9, why you would buy a Tec-9, why you shouldn't buy a Tec-9. I uploaded the first video. Obviously, I was trolling people. New EDC, very reliable gun, all these things, and obviously people went, a little AWOL, as to be expected. First off, a little background. The Tec-9, for me, it's just a movie gun. I'm a huge Grand Theft Auto nerd. So if I saw the gun in GTA or a gun that looked like it in GTA, I want it automatically. Obviously, the Tec-9 is iconic. Obviously, you can only get a Tec-9 used, but the Miami, South Florida market for a Tec-9, anytime I've seen them, if it's going for like 900 bucks, people will buy it right away. There's one, I think, right now, the DC-9, and they're asking $1,100. I know they're up there. You might even get your money back if you pay $1,100, but to me, that just seems like a ridiculous amount to pay for a Tec-9. Mind you, if you look it up, correct me if I'm wrong, but those guns were like $185, $200 when they were brand new. But obviously, this was, back in the 80s when everything was cheap. So can't really compare it to now. But still, $1,100 for a Tec-9, that just didn't seem feasible to me. So, that was the big reason why I didn't buy a Tec-9 sooner, because I definitely wanted one. That's basically telling you why I got it. Main reason is I always wanted one. It's iconic. It's cool. Now, why you wouldn't buy it? First of all, like I said, it was like a $200 gun. Interdynamic came out with the MP9, whatever they call it, the submachine gun. It was still a cheap firearm to make, but, the design overall wasn't just geared towards making something very, very cheap. I believe Intratec's whole motto was make it as cheap as possible, basically. That is why Intratec, the DC-9, Tec-9 gets a bad reputation, because it is cheaply made. Very cheap polymer. You see most of the ones online, they have cracks in the frame, whether it's the front pin, the trigger pins, or just the rear cracked. So obviously the polymer is not great quality. The metals, most finishes, again, when you see them online, most of them are super rusty. Some are like, Titanic rusty. Some are just surface rust. But again, you can tell the finishes was not part of their strong suit for Intratec. Tec-9 is ridiculously heavy. I have a PPS 43 and 9mm, the one with that fake folder that's, welded to it and stuff. I'm going to actually put them down on the scales and weigh one to the other. But I'd say they're right there. And if PPS 43, that's an enormous submachine gun. And I would say they're almost the same weight as the Tec-9. PPS 43 is a good comparison because they do have 30-round stick mags. Tec-9 has 32 round stick mags. There's some 50-round stick mags, but from what I see, those are all aftermarket and they don't look the same. I'm gonna do a video with one of those 50-round mags, see if they run, and if they don't run, see if you can modify them to make them run. So stay tuned for that soon. But for now, I'm just going to be sticking to the 32-round Intratec mag. I got lucky enough that I got an original Intratec 32-round. I heard that the Interdynamic 32-round mags, the way you can tell apparently is there's pieces of metal on the top and on the bottom, and they're spot welded. I believe mine only have 2 spot welds on each. I believe the Interdynamic ones have 4 spot welds. Then they went down to 2 spot welds. Correct me if I'm wrong, it might be the other way around, but again, that's how you know the difference between Interdynamic and Intratec magazines. So I didn't get the Holy Grail Interdynamic magazine, but I did get a real Intratec. So it's going to be interesting to see how it runs. Right off the bat, the gun, when I got it, I would cycle the bolt and the bolt would get stuck. It wouldn't completely go into battery. It wasn't per se the gun's cheap quality. In my case, what was wrong was the feed lips. One of the feed lips was bent like inwards and down, so it was literally catching groove on the magazine, so the bolt could slide through was too thin, so the bolt would get caught in the feed lips of the magazine. So that was just a real quick, pry at the receiver so I can test fit it and whatnot. But you didn't even have to do that. I just, that's just the way that I go, that I like to tackle things. So I took it apart, bent the feed lips up, tested it, bent it up a little bit more, and, deemed it perfect. Right now, it seems like it is cycling correctly. I didn't fill up the mag or nothing like that, but with like 3 or 4 rounds in the mag, it does seem like it's cycling. But already out the box, I got a Tec-9 that wasn't gonna shoot. If you didn't have any kind of firearms experience or any kind of troubleshooting knowledge when it comes to firearms, if you would have gotten the gun that I got and just gone to the range and expect to have a good time, you would have been highly, highly disappointed in that Tec-9. So again, I do understand people's criticism of the Tec-9, but then again, this is why I'm doing the video too. I just want you guys to understand why people like me would pay, $1,000 for a Tec-9. Again, I didn't pay it, but I do see why people would pay $1,000 for a Tec-9. Again, the Tec-9 is just a crappy plastic, heavy metal, like they say, pop metal gun. They were only like $200. Nowadays, they're going for like $1,000. Why? I just said right now, they're not known for being reliable. Mine, right off the bat, when I got it, obviously it's used, so it's to be expected, but mine wasn't going to run right out the box. So why? Why would he get an Intractec? Why? This is something that I tell people. People don't understand it. If you have to ask why, you just won't understand. If you have to ask why you would buy a Tec-9, it's probably not for you. It's the thing, it's not a commodity. It's not something you need. It's just something you really want. I guess I can compare it to like a Desert Eagle. I've had ups and downs with my Desert Eagle. Ammo's ridiculously expensive, but it's a gun I wouldn't get rid of. Why? Because it's iconic, it's in the movies, big caliber. So I say that the Tec-9 is comparable. Would I recommend somebody buying a Desert Eagle? Would I recommend somebody buying a Tec-9? No. If that's your first gun, hell no. I got lucky with this Tec-9. I don't even want to like shout them out because I've had bad experiences with them before, so I will just go ahead and mention that. I bought the Tec-9 off guns.com. My warning is be very careful with the description and the pictures of the gun. I had 2 instances with them previously where I bought a used gun, and both guns, one, they just took like a general picture and they sent me a completely different gun where it was an anodized black aluminum lower and it was just completely scratched. They told me that was normal, that it was holster wear and stuff like that. And, we went back and forth, but at the end of the day, I just kept the gun and I had to, take a loss on that one. But again, it did not match the description or the picture because it was very, very scratched. The other gun, it was a Colt 1903 hammerless. In the pictures, they strategically took the pictures in such a way that the finish looked black and just a little rough. When I got the gun in person, it was almost completely rusted through. There was absolutely no bluing on the gun left. And that one, I was able to eventually get through customer service. And after talking to them and sending them pictures and all and whatnot, they said, oh, send the gun back and we'll send you your money. At that point, it had been like 2 months, because, again, they just wouldn't do it right away. So I just decided to keep the gun and I just sold it locally to somebody else. That was my prior experiences with guns.com. And that's why I stopped buying from them. I really don't buy guns from guns.com. But in this case, I just decided to check on Gun Broker. They weren't very cheap. I decided to go on guns.com. And I was able to snag this one for $750. After fees and whatnot, it was like $830 to $850. Let's say even with the FFL pickup, so let's put $850. Again, for a gun that costs $200, $850 seems really high. But, realistically, with inflation and everything, you're not going to buy a gun, for $200. Very few guns are $200 nowadays. For me, the $750 to $850 price range is perfectly reasonable. If I needed to get rid of the gun, if I was just buying it to shoot it, do a video, and sell it to somebody else, I could probably stand to make a good $200-300 on it because it's a really clean example of a TC9. It comes with the original magazine. It does have the original box. I could make some money on it, but That's not my intention. My intention is just to keep it. I just got lucky that on guns.com I got it for, cheaper than, my local market completely. Most local gun stores down here, you won't really see a Tec-9. And if you do see a Tec-9, they know what they have, and they'll be asking, probably $1,300 or $1,400, because they'll go online and they'll check everybody's prices and stuff like that. People tell me, no, I got this great, I got this great deal at a gun store. It's like, yeah, you don't live in South Florida? Because that's not going to happen down here, man. People know what they have down here. There's one gun store down here that would print out the cheapest ammo price, and then they would put it at the same price, and they would put on the bottom, you would pay for shipping and handling online. So that's how you know in South Florida, they don't play with guns, okay? So again, for $750 to $800 for a Tec-9 in South Florida, that was unheard of. So I did get it off guns.com. Here's my criticism on guns.com. It's kind of like buying fast food. They just have a lot of sellers, local pawn shops and such. In this last experience, a pawn shop, that sold me this Tec-9, I paid for it on Monday afternoon. The FFL would have been open. The gun would have been delivered on Tuesday. Like, I thought it was an error or something, but they went Monday afternoon. They shipped the firearm next day air with insurance and everything. So shout out to that seller on guns.com. But for the most part, I would say just, be careful when ordering off guns.com. But again, if it's your only option, I would say do it if the price is correct. I got the Tec-9. I'm dying to shoot it. Unlike most guns, normally I try to buy 9mm. I try to buy a case of 1,000 every time I need 9mm. Last time I bought 2,000, but I buy 124 grain. I shoot suppressed a lot, and I got a lot of new Glock builds and stuff like that. So from my experience, 118, 115, they don't cycle as good as 124, especially if you're breaking in a gun, especially if you're shooting suppressed. So I try to buy a 124 grain. That's most of the stock I have of 9mm. For the Tec-9s, they tell you right away, only shoot 115. I personally don't even own 115 grain. So that's a grain I'm going to have to get. On the Tec, if you were shooting, say, 124 grain instead of the 115, what will most likely happen is that you're going to crack the back end of the Tec. Now, from what I've read, they already fixed that issue when they went to the threaded rear cap on the Tec-9s. My DC Tec-9 is one of the later generations that doesn't have the two sling perches on the sides. It only has a sling perch on the rear, and it also has that threaded rear cap. So I think I should be good to run 124 grain. But again, it's such, like a niche iconic gun that I'm just gonna wait and shoot only 115 grain. From looking at the chamber at the feed ramp, it doesn't look like a lot of rounds have been fed through it. The bolt barely seems worn, so it definitely seems like this Tec-9 is pretty new. I would estimate that it has less than 50 rounds through it. I wouldn't even say 100, honestly, but I could be completely wrong. The serial number is in the 55,000s. I shared that with somebody, and they were like, wow, I'm surprised as you are. I honestly didn't think Intractec would have made 55,000 Tec-9s. Maybe they didn't. Let me know if I'm wrong and they didn't make 55,000, but why would my serial number be 55,000? I thought it was 5,000 at first, but it definitely is 55,000. So let me know if you guys know about Tec-9 serial numbers, and let me know if you can tell me what year mine was made. I'm pretty sure it's a newer year, because again, it has that threaded rear cap. Going back from my tangent, I'm only gonna shoot it with 115 grain ammo. That's the recommended grain from Intractec that they tell you to shoot on the Tec-9. Even though it has a threaded cap, which from what I've read, this should be good for any grain. The big deals that happens in these Tec-9s is that the frames crack. So I'm gonna try to do anything I can to stop the frame from cracking. So obviously, shooting 115 grain ammo, it's not that big a deal, and it's definitely worth it if it's gonna save you, save your gun down the line. Again, who shouldn't buy a Tec-9? If you're just getting into the gun world, yeah, you think it's cool and whatnot, you want something that you could use for self-defense in a self-defense situation, a backpack gun, something like that, this is not the gun for you. Like, I would even say something like a Chris Vector or MP5 would be your bet if you want to get something cool. but that it also serve for self-defense or a truck gun, anything like that. I would suggest, like somebody else commented on one of my videos, you know, he's a cool guy, I gave him a hard time in the comments, was suggesting a Pac-9. I told him, in my opinion, a Pac-9 is way inferior. It can't really be compared to a Tec-9. But he did make a lot of sense. If you're just looking for an entry market 9mm plinker PCC carbine whatever pistol, the Pac-9 is a really good option. I was looking, and I think they would be around $500 to $600 if you search around online. Again, I'm not sure which brand. I know a few people make them. They have the NAC-9, the Pac-9, whatever. But, you know, AK 9mm base variant. They have a lot of modifications. Somebody has made metal stick mags. Somebody has made a drum that adapts to it. Again, I don't know how cheap or how you know, reliable any of that is going to be, but it's just really cool that there are aftermarket options. I've seen people do the side folders, AR-15 buffer tubes. There's another mod that I've seen that they have like a charging handle on the gas tube, because it's a fake gas tube, and you can rack it and slap it like an HK MP5. Somebody made that, you know, like a local Bubba, and then KUSA, I saw, you know, took inspiration from him, to not say copy, and now they're selling it on their website too, but somebody else definitely came up with that before KUSA. But again, that's a cool entry-level gun. I would say, after using it, that it could even be used for self-defense. Mind you, I'm not a fan of direct blowback, you know, guns. I would say just save your money and buy a Chris Vector, which in my opinion is the best 9mm PCC in the market. The only one I haven't shot is an MPX, but just because it looks like an AR-15, I wouldn't be interested in one at the price point. I would go for the Chris Vector anytime. If you think the MP5 is the end-all be-all, you're completely wrong. The recoil mitigation is way less. Roller delayed blowback is more finicky. You have to clean your gun a lot more. You have to worry about the rollers, lock up, all that stuff, you know. How do I know? Because I have a HK 308 clone, which has the roller delayed lockup, and I'm just not a huge fan. The Vector, for me, hands down, would win any day. Super reliable. Yeah, I do clean my Chris Vector a lot, but I shoot it suppressed all the time, the 9. And again, super dirty. I don't lube it that much. No crazy cleaning, cheap ammo. And I've only found one brand, Sterling Ammo. I bought like 1,500 rounds of that 9, and that sucked. I would get so many failure to ejects on my Chris Vector. I thought it was the Vector. And any other ammo that I've ever used, 125, 124, 119 grain, I never have issues with the Chris Vector. I never have issues with the Chris Vector 40-round mags. So again, I would personally recommend the Chris Vector. But again, you can probably buy 2 Pac-9s and some 9mm for the price of a Chris Vector. So realistically, the Pac-9 would be something that you would consider. Now, if money and sense is not an option, I would always say go for a Tec-9. Like I said to somebody in the comments too, a year or two ago, which, you know, they were already pricey. I passed on a trade for a Mac 11. I don't remember if it was a 9 or 45. I'm not too big into those guns, to be honest. And I thought the same thing. I'm like, oh, that's not that reliable. That's not a fun shooting gun. You can barely see through it. You can't put a brace on it. So I was like, no, man, I don't want that gun. It's not gonna be fun shooting. So I passed. Now I really want a Mac. Why? Because they're cool as hell, you know. And now that I'm trying to buy one, I'm seeing that, you know, if you're lucky, you're gonna pay like $1,200-1,300, but most of the ones that are showing up are like $2,000-3,000. Like, that's insane. I would never pay that much for a Mac 11 or Mac 10. But again, just like a Tech, it's iconic, it's cool as hell, it's in all the movies, it's in all the video games, so people want them. So the way I looked at it, the Tec-9 is an investment, you know. I picked it up for, let's say, max $850. Right now in the market, I can easily get $1,000 to $1,100 for the condition it's in. So right there, I'm already making money. I say a year or two down the line, I do see them being $1,500. You might think I'm wrong, but I see them being that expensive, maybe even more. Because just think about it, there's no more new ones being made. Most people hang on to them, you know, like me. And then out of the ones that are still out there, most of them are going to get their frames cracked sooner or later. So again, for me, a Tec-9 is just, you know, it's a cool gun to have. It's a cool thing to add to the collection. Not a practical gun, not a reliable gun, not the best gun made by any standards at all, but such a cool gun. So again, this video was just to let you guys know my personal opinions on a Tec-9, you know, a little backstory, and then why you should or shouldn't get a Tec-9. Soon, I have another surprise for you guys. I might have gotten a little brother for the Tec-9, if you know what I mean. And no, it's not a Tec-22, because as cool as they look, I just think that those things are silly. So, but again, I'm gonna have the Tec-9 and its little brother. I'm gonna do a video with both of them, and at that point I'm gonna have the 32 round mags and the 50, run them with 115 grains, see how they run. And I am also gonna run them with 124 grains to see if it's a noticeable difference, and to see what you should do with your Tec-9. So yeah, guys, thank you guys for watching, and just stay tuned for some more Intractec Tec-9 content. Peace.